Welcome to the World United. Welcome to the World United.
Today's topic is a consciousness. I am really briefing you on the entire consciousness world of ours, and the screen is not there actually. Can you see me? Your voice is, I can't hear your voice.
Sorry.
You see me?
I was muting myself. Yeah, I can see your screen. I'll shut my screen so that it will not toggle between your screen and.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I'm just setting off my screen so that your screen will not toggle. Now you can continue uninterrupted.
Yeah. See, I'm talking about our existence, and as such, our existence is basically in a consciousness world, actually. So I will be talking about the consciousness world and our physical world. We exist in our consciousness world, and we represent, in our physical world, actually. So this entire consciousness world, if you'll see, there are three consciousness bodies which exist. Those bodies act as our personality, that is our present personality. Those three bodies are etheric body, astral body, or you can call it as an emotional body, and third one is a mental body. So these three bodies represent our the consciousness existence, and that is our true existence. And these three bodies basically, even if you'll see in our Vedas, the 4,000, 5,000 years, the books which are available in these Vedas are also, they have mentioned these three bodies as a sattvic, rajas, and tamas bodies. So these three bodies basically exist along with our physical body, and this particular consciousness which represent our personality. So these three consciousness bodies basically build up with our past to present. So when we are talking about whatever our decisions or whatever our existence, whatever we are doing it, that is based on these three bodies, and we judge the entire world based on these three bodies of our personalities. So our consciousness world basically, is basically recorded in these three bodies as mindset, attitude, belief systems, and these three parameters represent us. And let's talk about actually, how mindset, belief systems, and attitude basically. These are the three parameters on which our bodies are basically built up. The mindset basically means whatever we look, we already have those past to present kind of things, and whatever is our travel from past to present is based on these three particular bodies. So the mindset is created because of this, and whatever we basically try to take a decision, those mindset parameters are basically applied. And obviously our belief systems are also generated based on past to present experience. So whatever good experience, bad experience, or your past to present travel basically mold with this particular thing. And of course your attitude is basically generated, that is your the expressions, that is your the parameters which basically reflects your joy, your happiness, badness, those particular things are basically attitude. So if you'll see, along with these three bodies, those bodies exist as you can say, as a consciousness matter. Now there is something which is called as a consciousness elements and the faculties. So these are the consciousness elements are basically, you can say, we have three meridians which are acting as the central vein of the entire system, and 70,000 nadis again the vein. So these three meridians are Ida, Pingala, and Sushmana, and we have chakras. So we have major chakras, minor chakras, and mini chakras actually. So this, say we have 7 major chakras. So we'll be focusing on the 7 chakras. I'll be basically calling them as a, the root chakra, sex chakra, navel chakra, heart chakra, throat chakra, and the eyebrow chakra and crown chakra. These are the 7 chakras basically acting as of, the interfacing mechanism. Or you can say those are the elements which are responsible for converting your consciousness bodies into the mind actually. So those are the inputs are basically collected from there. So along with the chakras and meridians, there are basically another faculty is your Ida and Pingla and Sushma. Other than this is your left brain and right brain. These 2 brains act as a central processing unit, and these 2 brains has got their unique capabilities. For example, left brain works with a very logic kind of things, and it is basically a kind of intelligence kind of working. So all your logical parameters based on this this left brain. And right brain is basically is like a open kind of things. It purely works on the emotions, and it basically works from the present to future. The left brain works from the past to present. So what happened is, whatever your experiences, logical things, whatever available, scientific or all kind of laws and all that, everything which are exist in the material body, those are basically processed very nicely with the left brain. Right brain will not process those things because it will create a problem for such kind of things. So now right brain basically works on the present to future. So it basically a visionary kind of things. So these are all the faculties of the central processing unit, basically process your mindset and belief systems actually, and create a attitudinal kind of things. So we can say that soul, mind, and body. So physical body and our soul basically is there, and there is a a mind in between actually. So this mind basically a consciousness mind, which is driven by the consciousness bodies, your present personality, and in between these chakras which are processing whole this body along with all other parameters and giving the output. So output is basically given to your physical body, and your physical body work along with that. So this is what is basically the consciousness world which exists actually. Now the another thing is when I say our personality which exists in all these bodies. So obviously we'll have to define this present personality lies where. So in my book also, Soul Journey of Human Being, I have defined 4 human beings personalities in general actually. So the first human being, second human being, third human being, and fourth human being. So if you'll see awakening or evolvement happens from all this personality. So first personality after evolvement become a second human being personality, second, then third and fourth. So first and second personal human being are basically mainly on the material world. This exists in this physical realm, and these 2 personality develop themselves. So the first personality develop on a kind of some kind of advancement in their physical bodies and mental and emotional bodies, but then they are not successful. But then there are none of the chakras are basically so much of powerful. The second human being is there are some specific chakras which are powerful, like emotional chakras and intelligence, eyebrow chakra. And the third human being basically where he starts the spiritual journey actually, where your certain gates are opened up. Those eyebrow chakras, there are some kind of opening on your eyebrow chakras, and then you try to form a third eye. Then you try to build up your personality from the spiritual perspective, and then you create a lot of other consciousness elements. Means basically there are Rudra Granthi, then your Brahma Granthi, and Vishnu Granthi. These are the three places where you basically develop and you move on to the third and fourth stages actually. So if you'll see from the consciousness world, actually, those consciousness world exist in in what you can say which represent by your physical body. But then this consciousness world exists with the mental, emotional, and etheric kind of personalities actually. So these three personalities lies in three chakras out of those 7 chakras. So the etheric body, which represent your or lower chakra, that is root chakra, sex chakra, and navel chakra, and represented only by the navel chakra, this etheric body. And all your this lower parameters exist in this which are being developed by this navel chakra. And navel chakra gives the etheric energy which is required for your emotional body as well as mental body. Now the next heart chakra, which is basically represent your emotional body. Your all emotional parameter, emotional decision makings are basically taken by the heart chakra. And this is one of the, when we say duality, this is one quality of the duality, because etheric body required for your emotional body as well as mental body, and your eyebrow chakra represent your mental body. So emotional and mental, these are the two dimensions or a duality basically exists in this personality. And etheric body, which is a kind of energy which requires for both. So you are basically a kind of emotion. We can call it as an emotional intelligence, and we can call it as a the personality which is built up with these two dualities. So ultimately, when you are advancing, when you are evolving, you'll have to make sure that you don't exist in one particular the side. You have to balance both the side and advance yourself. Otherwise, you balancing is must for the third human being, and your basically travel starts where the balancing happens actually. So I mean, detail you can do, you can see in my book Soul Journey of Human Being. But these three bodies basically represent our the intelligence logic, or you can say it is basically the intelligence which is represented by your eyebrow chakra, love and wisdom represented by your heart chakra, and your willpower represented by your navel chakra. So these three things, when they evolve, and they goes into the advancement, and then they create the bridge with third and fourth being in such a way that you move on to the next chakra, which represent your soul, and you try to connect over there. And that there exactly you try to find your the higher self, and this is how you connect to the next level, and which basically move on to your evolvement. Now if you'll see, there are 4 bodies for human being. When I'm talking about awakening or evolvement happening on each human being. So the first human being evolves from his consciousness parameters. The second also evolves in his own consciousness parameter. Third also that way. So entire thing basically represent your personality, which is basically advancing. Now let's see what exactly the parameter basically required for you to advance actually, or what is the purpose of your incarnation. So when I see your personality is the only parameter for which you have taken a birth. The transformation on that personality is required, and you need to move on to the next level. You cannot move on to any kind of other parameters. So first of all, you need to really see what is your emotional intelligence and etheric kind of bodies which represent you, and where are they stuck, where are you, and what are the type of meditations required to move ahead actually. So now when you see the personality exists in all these three bodies, what is there? There is something which is called as your right now, or what is your present personality. Now there is something which is called as the divine, the consciousnesses actually, or the divine law. So these three bodies basically are governed by this divine law. So these divine law parameters basically, they are basically very clearly, governed by this, govern or basically limitations of this particular body. So if you take any decisions from all this, let's say logic, wisdom. So these three parameters, three bodies basically are restrict, or very clearly follow the, the divine law. In Hinduism, it is called as a dharma. So what is a dharma is basically, or the, the divine law is basically the whole thing represent with the equality, truth, integrity. So all those things are really important. So if your personality doesn't follow, let's say, truth, then your personality is going away from this. The first effect is on your personality itself, which is basically degraded, and you need to transform those. So what is a karma is basically is the distance between your, the three bodies, or your present personality, and when you need to transform. So if you are at some personality where you're lacking in terms of integrity, that is basically a distance between your present and the divine. So that karma affects you. Now you have to transform. So while transforming, you are basically affected by this karma, or you are basically trying to change onto the divine side, but your present personalities parameters basically they are affected. Your surrounding is affected. So you have to really see when your transformation is not like, you'll be happy. Your transformation will go through a very rough phase, very kind of, because you will be, releasing all those negative parameters from you, and basically transforming yourself onto the next platform. So obviously you're going to face a lot of problem, resistance, and a lot of, your circumstances. So this particular thing, you remember, your personality exists in your present way of thinking of configuration, and there is a divine. So how do I basically transform? So for this, basically there are various paths are basically given, and these paths, if you'll see, various paths like Dharma Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Brahmacharya. So these are the paths given in the Hinduism. If you'll see from other perspective also, you'll match everywhere. So what is the Dharma Yoga means? I think the best example is you go and read the Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, and all that. You'll find almost 100 characters basically tried, to represent themselves by their own dharma which they followed, but they have not understood the overall dharma actually. So that is very important. When you're following one dharma, you're basically, violating the other dharma. So you have to understand the dharma perfectly, and when you understand, you'll move, very close to the divine personality or the divine laws actually, and that is what is your advancement will happen. The second one is Karma Yoga. You do Karma Yoga. The example is basically Baba Amte or Mother Teresa kind of, people where they are basically doing a good karma. So those karmas are basically giving them a lot of benefit, because ultimately whatever they follow, the whole personality starts changing it. And another one is a Raj Yoga. Raj Yoga is a very systematic way of building your personality. Means doing a proper meditations, following some kind of things, then following various kind of meditations. Typical example of Swami Vivekananda with Raj Yogi and all that. Bhakti Yoga is, you can say, Radha or Arjun, where you have very clear cut trust. So that builds up the very trust kind of things, emotional kind of building up. So that is what is the Bhakti Yoga. You basically do a bhakti with the God, bhakti with your parents. So all those important. If you see from top to down list, the God or the higher beings basically, and then your a master or the guru, then your parents, These are all basically important if you'll see from top to down. And another important thing is your, the half portion of your own personality, which is your wife. So that is also important actually. So both represent. I mean, if you'll see the duality, or I can call it as a yin yang. So your personality and wife personality basically represent yin yang, or represent the duality. And if you really balance yourself, then you see the Shankar Parvati, Bhagavan Vishnu and Lakshmi. So all those basically got represent with the duality, and duality merging with each and everyone. And Jnana Yoga actually, it's a knowledge. I mean, there are people like Jnaneshwar, or you can say Sadhguru, very very high level of knowledge. I mean, they move on to those particular Jnana Yogi kind of things. Of course, they follow all other things, but then if you'll see, their knowledge part is something which they acquire from very fast from the universe. Then Brahmacharya, that is also celibacy. Celibacy basically gives a lot of advancement in your consciousnesses. However, you need to really understand celibacy and the energy patterns. If you'll see, all these three bodies are your consciousness elements, which are driven by the kind of energy, and we have those two energies exist in our body. So the first primary energy which is generated, I'm talking about the consciousness energy. This primary energy is being generated by your gonad. That is your sexual energy, or you can say it is as the primary energy. This energy basically represent, and which is available from your which is basically in an active form, very major active form, from the first human being to second human being. So all your consciousness, which basically which are basically fueled by this energy, and this energy affects a lot of gravitational planetary kind of changes. For example, full moon, new moon, all that. During that time, this energy is basically rises. And at that time, your consciousness also multiplies. So remember that full moon and all these planetary positions where the gravitational force, or you can say this gravitational consciousness force, basically affect this energy. Your energy level is high. Use that particular energy for the good purpose. If you do meditations and some good thoughts during that time, because energy is an energy. Use it for good purpose, bad purpose, everywhere it is applicable. So this energy used for the good purpose. The second, what is divine, energy, which is given to you in the form of Kundalini. So Kundalini is, 3.5 coil, but then it's 99% in dormant stage. Hardly, some percentage basically represent. But this Kundalini awakening is important. If you see the spiritual perspective, or your major advancement perspective, is this activation of this Kundalini. And this Kundalini activations can be accidental, or it basically, requires all those purifications. When I'm doing a transformation, transformations means a purification. So this Kundalini represent your, the very high level kind of energy. It is compared to the gonad energy. This particular energy is multiplication factor, and its multiplication factor applies to your full moon and all those planetary positions. So, but then the thing is, now these energies are located at near your root chakra and sex chakra. The gonad is basically driven by your sex chakra, and Kundalini is below the root chakra. And now what happened is, these three energies are basically traveling upward from your three meridians. Now let's talk about the two meridians which are important, which exist, in the beginning, which are Ida and Pingla. Ida and Pingla represent your left, right, or it can represent hot and cold. It can represent dualities also. So when your personality is built up, your personality inward, outward, everything is basically driven by your personality and the usage of all these chakras, and the energy basically going upward from these particular meridians, or which meridians is more active. That is what is important. So Ida and Pingla are activated during the first human being and second human being. They are activated. That is required actually. The third, Sushmana is not activated. And it will be activated only when you enter into the proper purification, balancing. The activation means what? The Sushmana is basically close at the root chakra level. So your energy will not go through the root chakra. So if, let's say, Kundalini fires up accidentally, it will try to go with Ida and Pingla, whatever is opened up. But then this is imbalance because Ida and Pingla represent duality. So if it goes to the Ida, it will go to the one channel. Or it will go to the Pingla, it will go to the one channel, and it affects because other channel also represent your, existence into the material life. So what happens is when the purification happens, or you move on to the second human being to third human being, and there are some specific meditations available. I have given into my book also. I will be coming out with my website, Sumira Life Management website, sumiralife.com, where I'll be putting up a lot of meditations. But in book, all those meditations are given, examples of some of the meditations, which are applicable to all those things. So the point over here is the moment Kundalini starts, the root chakra, Sushmana opens up at your root chakra, Kundalini start traveling. So now this Sushmana is connected to all chakra, like all Ida and Pingla connected to the root chakra in a spiral way. So what happened is this chakra, these 7 chakras which I told you, the Sushmana travels from root chakra to 7 chakras. This is the advancement positions, and each chakra basically represent your personality based on your experience, their handling of energy. I'm not saying my chakra is blocked. That is a term. Instead of that term, I would like to use my chakra is not utilized. For example, root chakra is represented by the survival fear. So when you, from the child, when you try to stand up, when you when you grow up, you have to settle yourself. So all those are basically survival kind of fears, survival kind of things. You are grounding with the material life itself is a root chakra, and this root chakra represented by the Indian deity Ganesha. This particular force of Ganesha represent the root chakra. So root chakra opening is very much important. Otherwise, you are basically whatever the energy which goes up by skipping the root chakra, you are totally imbalanced on your material life. So material life represented by the Ganesha. That is very, very important. And that's why Ganesha is being, if you'll see the Atharva Veda or Atharva Shirsha of Ganesha, why it is called Atharva Shirsha? Because it is very clearly given in that Atharva Shirsha also that Ganesha represent everything. Because it's basically sitting, this root chakra is sitting on the opening of your, the entire things. The second chakra is basically sex chakra, represent your, the sexual part. You represent your, the reproduction. Then represent the another thing is sexual chakra is one part of creativity. Creativity persons require a sex chakra development. It's basically gives you money also. The navel chakra represent your entire etheric. The third one is a navel chakra which represent your etheric body, or which represent your the energy levels. And there is this energy also can be stored in the navel chakra. The next chakra is a heart chakra. Heart chakra is an emotional chakra. It's purely work on the emotional parameter. Now there is another throat chakra which represent the backbone, which is inward and outward, which is not basically represent your personality, but it basically process all your thoughts, all your in, out, and all your things. So basically represent or doing the interconnect possibilities of the chakras. The next important chakra is the eyebrow chakra, which represent your intelligence. So intelligence parameters of understanding and emotional parameters of understanding is totally different. The eyebrow chakra represent by the Shiva. So it is, that's why it is called as the Rudra Granthi is also located over there, which represents Shiva. This entire dimension, consciousness dimension of intelligence is based on the Shiva. So Shiva is the entire consciousness related to intelligence is the Shiva. The next one is again, go back to the heart chakra, which represent your emotional, that is your Vishnu. The Vishnu Granthi also exists there in advancement. This particular Granthis, three Granthis, Rudra, Vishnu and the Brahma Granthi, which basically evolves. So when the emotional parameters are basically there with you, you take the decision based on the emotional. So you have only two personalities exist. The third one, which is a novel, which represent the etheric kind of portions, which is basically energy levels. So it's required for both the consciousness to work. But now these the emotional and intelligence, which is basically you are being hired in even the company for your emotional intelligence, because it represents your personality from your past to present. Now these two, if you'll say, if you'll find out the people, because you will find a general, kind of personality of the emotional is a spontaneous kind of things. They take a decision based on the emotional kind of parameters, and then they try to represent in a kind of spontaneous way, openness. It basically works on the present to future kind of personality, because emotional is basically represent with this thing. And intelligence is basically past to present, which has got all those things. So your Rudra chakra is basically intelligence, and your heart chakra is your emotional. These are the two parameters on which your personality exists, and you have to really merge on these two and basically advance on all those things. So I think as far as this presentation is concerned, I have many things to say, but then I have tried to cover as much as possible from my side. And this is the whole, the concept is your personality for which you have taken a birth, and you have to advance on those, purify on those, and go out of this material life cycle. That is what is my whole thing. So I think 40 minutes are over.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So Sunil sir, this has been very enlightening and very captivating, enthralling kind of disclosure which you have given. Just sir, just to add up or clarify on this, just one point I would like you to specify on this. As you said that to grow from our existing personality to the divine law or divine personality, there will be a lot of friction which will be involved. There will be, you have to really fight it out with on every second or every continuous. It's a continuous process. So I'd just like you to maybe give some tips on this. Like you said, there are some different types of yoga: Raj Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, which we can adopt any one of them to really grow with this. But what I would like you to elaborate a little bit is, see, for example, now I am not very sure that what all I have to what all see, there are so many tendencies, different tendencies which personality has, right? For example, he has a tendency for alcoholic affiliation. As well, he has a tendency for some different, say, lazy kind of attitude. So there are so many facets wherein he has to grow on every front to come out of the existing personality and grow. So what would be the one tip or this one which you will give to for persons like these to identify first and then grow? Or firstly, he has to identify that these are the things which I have to outgrow or which I have to come out of. So where should he be starting that
Where
actually?
to start?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, what happened is I have, that's why we have a lot of meditations, lot of programs. People just run around actually. So I go and try to do this,
Correct.
try to do this. You are under the impressions that you are basically moving this and this. But from my side, what I'm just, clarifying some of the things. If you'll see, you exist based on your personality from first human, second human being, third human being, fourth human being, right? There are meditations programs totally different. And the openings are also totally different. I have basically developed a kind of personality test also, which is basically based on your yin yang. Okay. It's a 1 hour online test which is available onto my website, and which will give you your left brain is more active, right brain is more active, or your emotional driven decision maker, your anjana, eyebrow driven or intelligence based on the, or your inward is more powerful, right outward is more powerful, because all this personality exist in this particular faculties what is being used by your present configuration. So let's say your present configuration using is a very intelligent science, engineer or science, science driven person. He will use his eyebrow chakra more frequently, and he will develop on that eyebrow chakra. Now, that is your past to present. For example, if you are, emotional, or you are basically using more emotional body, you will, or you are working on present to future, visualizations and all that, which is possible with the right brain. Left brain will not give you much, visualization, because left brain will try to see past, something from past to present, and whatever data is available. Like a scientist, I have this particular law which exists, I don't believe on that. So that is what is your left brain. But the right brain is start from zero. Right brain will say, okay, I see the opportunity, I see these possibilities, I see visualizations. So all those things are possible. Left brain visualization is based on the past to present. Right brain visualizations is from present to future. That is very, very important. Now, another thing is your inward or outward. For example, you go and mix up with the people, you will find you are more inward or more outward. If you're balanced, you will find everywhere you can, shine. Now, another thing is, along with this, your heart chakra is more activated. Your, eyebrow chakra is activated. So this kind of things you can basically find out from your, this personality test which I have developed. That is first thing that
So
you will come to know.
I suppose for this very thing, I think a guru is required. A learned guru might be like you, might be of guidance to lot many, to initially guide and take them to this particular path. I think
Yeah,
that would be
definitely. I
a
mean,
good.
I have, when people
Yeah,
can get in touch with me, and
yeah.
we can, because you'll have to really see where exactly you are located. For example,
Correct,
first
correct,
human being,
correct.
second human being, third human being, and fourth human being. For example, I've seen some of the people, they are trying to do a third human being or fourth human being meditations exercises. Meditations are different for the different human being. What happened is,
Okay.
because of meditations, you open up certain chakras, path, energy centers. And now what happened is, you are not purified. You are not purified. And there exactly the problem faces. Because
Yeah, you are not ready with the
this
level one,
energy
and
will
you
affect
are
on your blockages.
yeah,
That is
you
what is
are not
important.
ready with the level one, and you are meditating for level 3. So that should not
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. And
Right.
this will affect, because see, emotionally, for example, if you suddenly do some kind of opening and your heart chakra get activated, and you have got your emotional person, your heart, your balance, you are imbalance on the eyebrow chakra. What will happen is, you will start taking the emotional basis kind of decision, plus or minus anything, it can happen. And then it affects your intelligence. If your surrounding is intelligence, you create a problem to them, problem to yourself, build up a karma. So everything you will get affected, and ultimately you will create a problem for yourself, and you degrade
True.
yourself. So really you have to
Right.
understand where exactly to start.
Correct. So that's why I said a learned guru like you will be a very, very definite,
Definitely.
mode of guidance for lot many. I think
See,
we
I
may
have
end
given,
right now.
just 1 second. I have given
Yeah,
those
yeah.
paths, So by default, what people should do, there are like karma yoga. This is a good part. You do good things. Then your Raj Yoga, try to see some of the good meditations, follow path. When you're doing a meditations, you try to do some kind of a constructive kind of approach actually, or Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and you understand first of all what exactly the divine law or the dharma exists, and you try to follow that this is because whatever your decision making is, basically the outcome of decision making is basically triggers this.
Correct.
So
you have to finally go to that ultimate dharma.
Generating wrong karma.
Correct. So I think on this point we may continue our discussion with further speakers which we have already joined. I think thank you very much, Sunil sir, for this enlightening speech and workshop which we had. It was very much you can say educational, or it was very much of enlightenment for the listeners, at least who have not gone through many of the scriptures, but it was very much of eye opener for us to start with rather.